Hello and welcome to the Workouts for Older Men podcast. I am Skip LaCour, so glad you are joining me for this podcast. Hey, in this podcast, I want to talk about your chest. Revitalize your chest. Rediscover muscular definition and strength for older men. All right, what makes a great chest workout now that you're a little bit older? All right, I don't know about you, but in my talking to men and maybe even my experience, besides the legs seem to go first. I'm not quite sure if that's an age thing, and a lot of people, talk about why that is. I don't know. I think that the legs are the toughest thing to build and the toughest thing to maintain, no matter what your age. A lot of men, young or old, don't like to train their legs. So when you get older, you push it less. You may even train it less, but definitely the legs in older men seem to go first. But if there's a body part that just doesn't look the same, feel the same, that feels the effect of age, and it's not for everybody, it's the chest. Or what's the challenge, right? Do you feel as though your chest, and whether you worked out when you were younger in your 20s and 30s, or you're just working out now, if you kind of remember your chest, a lot of men, chest seems to flatten out, all right? Droops a little. The upper chest seems to disappear, all right? You get that little crinkle on the side of your pecs, right? That little crinkle, that piece of skin, all right? And if you have too much body fat, whether you realize it or not, it's starting to droop, and you have that man boob going on, right? Whether you have a lot of fat, sometimes you can be relatively lean, look great in clothes, but it seems as though more fat accumulates in the chest, giving it that droopy look. Well, what can you do about it? How can you revitalize your chest? What workouts can you do to build that chest, to tighten that chest, to make that upper chest reappear, get that youthful look back? All right, so let's just talk about exercises. Are there exercises you can do to negate the effects of getting older on our chest? Well, look, whether you're young, old, or something in between, to build muscle in your chest, you got to overload. I talk about that all the time. Whether that is training your chest twice a week, whether it's cranking up the intensity and really going to close to that failure, being safe, of course, to stimulate muscle growth, whether it's once a week or twice a week, however you do it, right? Whether you do a lot of volume or a little bit of volume, but you raise the intensity, whether you do fewer reps with heavier weight or lighter reps, more reps with lighter weight, right? But it still end up in that failure, right? Overload, right? That's what builds the chest muscles for everyone. Whether you've been working out a long time, if you've been working a long time, you got to push to that next level if you're sliding backwards. But sometimes if you're in your 50s and you're starting to train for the first time, anything that you do will be an improvement in work, right? But younger, it's the same thing. It's about muscle overload. What's the right amount of volume? Well, like I talk about it, that depends on intensity. You have to understand how that works and then go on, your particular trial and error journey, right? But what if you did more reps? Right? Will that burn the fat? Will that cut the man boobs? No, it won't. It won't. So that's the biggest thing, I want to talk about is more reps won't get you ripped in. You might hear and maybe younger men talking about what an older man should do, or maybe it's older men or whatever it is. And maybe they did get ripped and lean. Maybe they have a beautiful, youthful looking lean chest and they do high reps. But that's not why their chest is lean and looking good, all right? Weight training is for overload, right? So how about how many exercises is the more better? Like, so if I have my chest routine, if I hit it from every single angle a couple times, did 6 or 7 exercises, maybe more sets, more is better, right? Different angles. Would that give you that better looking chest now that you're a little bit older? I know it's really about intensity. Now, many chest exercises, they basically do the same thing, maybe hit it from a different angle. I'm not from the school that you can carve your chest its shape like clay, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because I personally believe that a lot of the best bodybuilders, some of them great chests, some of them look like Arnold, some of them, even though they're champion internationally known bodybuilders, they've got chests that aren't full, maybe look flat on the top, no upper chest, genetic shape, right? So, training them from all these exercises, I think I've established the fact, I want to convince you that that's not going to burn the fat or the little bit of man boobs or a lot of man boobs, training it from different angles, right? 3 angles is plenty, right? So whether, upper, some guys like to do flies, middle chest, right? Declines, right? 2 angles, 3 angles is fine. How many different exercises do you need? Well, probably 4 will do it at the very most. I usually do 3. I usually will pick out 2 flat exercises, like a flat barbell bench press, and then I might sandwich that with an incline dumbbell press or a barbell bench press. Right, may finish off with another flat dumbbell press. Might do dips, might do declines, but really 3, 4 exercises at the very most is all you need. All right, to get that youthful chest. Remember, weight training is about overload. Now, when you get older, right, a lot of men complain about shoulder and joints. All right, so they can't push that heavy weight. Well, it's about overload whether you have joint pain or you don't, or something in between. All right, if you can't push the weight, if it's too painful, then you're not going to create overload, and so maybe more reps doing all the way to the end is close to failure. But if you can't do that because it's getting heavy at the end and you're having joint pain, maybe from the volume, we just got to do what we can. There, a lot of men have knee issues and they can't squat, or hip issues or shoulder issues where they can't press. There's only one way, regardless of your limitations, and that's through overload. And we're talking about building muscle here. The good thing is, I would say 90% of the older men out there, it's what I'm going to talk about next, is going to make the biggest impact, giving you that Revitalize, younger, youthful chest. All right. So, I can tell you this, when it comes to chest, if you're not feeling muscle stimulation, I found that whatever it is, incline, decline, flat, right? I know a lot of guys don't do flat bench and, because of pain, but it's usually the angle of your arms, right? Just say it's further up, like maybe towards your head, or it's too narrow, closer to your torso. Finding that right balance in between, is it 45 degrees, a little less, a little bit more? That's usually, if you find that right angle when you're pushing through the weight, feeling the weight in the chest, that angle makes the biggest difference. Now, everybody's different, but you might want to consider that. Try it at slightly different angles, slightly in, slightly further out than you normally do it. And you're doing everything you can, right, to build the chest. And again, I would say the same thing to men who are younger and somewhere in between as far as older men. But I'm just talking about the way we see ourselves, the challenge, because I do think it's a little unique how, as we get older, more fat seems to accumulate there when we get older. I can't prove that scientifically, but even someone in shape like me, if I just have a little bit, maybe body fat, it'll look flat, it'll look kind of droopy, right? So look. So that's what builds muscle. That's what everybody needs to do, muscle. So I hope he told you what you should do, what isn't going to work, as I talked about muscle building in your chest. But here's the thing. Your diet, getting lean is what's going to make that chest look youthful. I know what that's like. So, when I competed for many years, I was walking around feeling good. I don't know what my body fat percentage is. It's a lot more than I've carried it for the last 5 or 6 years. But I still look good. I remember I do videos with the arms showing I felt comfortable. And then I said, I want to push this thing. If I'm going to do these videos, I'm going to get leaner. I'm going to stay there, right? Just for aesthetic looks and be healthy. All right, I just made that commitment. And one thing that I noticed, as I was getting lean, I was in my 50s, and I said, wow, I didn't know I could look this good. I look like to myself, I'm looking like I did back when I competed, but it's just a smaller version. But you can't tell it's a smaller version when you get really lean. And I knew that from competing. I preach that all the time. But one thing I noticed is that even when I was lean and looking good and proud enough to take off a shirt for a video in my late 50s, right? Middle, late 50s, I noticed that my chest was flatter and a little bit droopy. I didn't have man boobs. And I just realized, more fat kind of carries there even when I'm lean. But the leaner I got, especially over time, and I ate enough food, I didn't just crash diet. I just noticed that it just got leaner and leaner and leaner, even though I was doing the same things as just being in that lean state and staying there. All of a sudden, just that 1% body fat makes a difference, 2%, or the chest. It just lifts, doesn't droop. And again, this is what you need to do. If you have man boobs, it's diet. It's diet. It's diet. It's diet. You got way too much body fat. I don't care what exercise you use. But if you look good, you're relatively lean, you've done your work, and it still kind of droops, tell you get lean enough, and maybe that's unfair. You don't necessarily want to get that lean. You like the rest of your body. It's a functional weight. But if you were, you'd be surprised. Even at an older age, you would have a youthful-looking chest, not droopy, not upper chest flattening out. Certainly not man boobs, nothing of the sign of ages. And if you look on the internet enough, you'll see some older bodybuilders that their chest looks amazing, maybe even at the gym. It's because they're lean. It gives that illusion of size. It gives that illusion of fullness. It raises that droop. And like I said, it makes you look youthful. All right, so, hey, that's chest training for older men. All right, I hope you found this helpful. Reach out, comments are appreciated on my YouTube channel, comments. If you're listening to this anywhere on my podcast platform, if you're interested in one-on-one coach, we could break this all down. Why do this all by yourself when you have me? I can take you through the process. I coach men just like you with a busy, productive life. You got to learn how to do this right if you're going to put this effort, because you don't have all day, 7 days a week to do this like a fitness influencer, a young fitness influencer. You got to be effective and efficient with your time. And I want to help you do that with my 34 years, not just doing it, right, but explaining it to men. And knowing things like these distinctions that describe your challenge with your chest as an older man. These are things that, younger guys on the internet, 25, 30, they just don't think about, because they don't live our experience. All right, so that's going to do it for this Workouts for Older Men podcast. Let's take on that day with a sense of urgency. We have to when we're a little bit older. We've got more time behind us than we do in front of us. Have a great day.